Continuing on the 14th order of business, House has before it Senate Bill 2239, which has been read. Mr. Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, Senate Bill 2239 with House amendments, introduced by Senator Carlisle and other House and Senate sponsors. Senate Bill 2239 is a bill for an act to amend and reenact Section 62.1-04-02 of the North Dakota Century Code relating to dangerous weapons. Mr. Speaker, your Judiciary Committee recommends amendments which were passed on the previous sixth order. When so amended, recommends do pass on Senate Bill 2239 by vote 14 yeas, 0 nays, 0 absent, and 0 not voting. Mr. Speaker.
Representative Baining.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the Assembly. Basically what this bill does, it's going to allow someone that wants to carry a stun gun. Basically it's like a taser. It gives an electric shock to someone. We had a lady in testifying in front of us. She does carry concealed weapons, and she does teach the class. Basically what she says, the thing about with using a stun gun is you can actually have, if somebody grabs you, be able to reach around and stun them, because if you're using a pistol, you want to shoot someone that way, or to scare them off, you have to have them in your sight, and bullets usually don't go around corners. Of course, there's new technology out there, probably do nowadays, but Mr. Speaker and members of the Assembly, basically what this would allow is to allow someone to carry a stun gun as a concealed, it would take it out of the concealed weapons area and allow them to carry it and not have to have training and so forth with this. It is a good protection item. It's probably pretty cheap. I can't remember the exact dollars, but I think they're right around $100 and up that you can get one of these new stun guns with. And basically it's just I think it's a voltage of about 75,000 volts that you can zap somebody with, and it stuns for about 30 seconds, and that gives 30 seconds and gives them enough time to get away from the perpetrator, and allows the victim to safety and call police if that need to be or whatever. So, Mr. Speaker, members of the Assembly, I'd urge you do pass in 2239.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the House has before it for final consideration Senate Bill 2239. The clerk will open the key and you may record your vote. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? The key will be closed. The clerk will take the record. The final vote shows 92 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent, not voting. Senate Bill 2239 is declared passed.
House Bill 1467, a bill for an act to create and enact a new section to Chapter 37 of the North Dakota Century Code relating to emergencies and firearms, relating to the powers of the governor in an emergency.
Senator Berry.
Mr. President, I've heard it said that a gun is like a parachute. If you ever need one and don't have one, you'll probably never need one again. Mr. President, House Bill 1467 seeks to create a new section to Chapter 3717.1 of the North Dakota Century Code dealing with firearms and emergencies. The purpose and focus of this legislation is to protect law-abiding North Dakota citizens from the confiscation of legal firearms during states of emergency. After Hurricane Katrina, many New Orleans residents legally armed themselves to protect their lives and property from civil disorder. With no one to call and police unable to respond, honest citizens were able to defend themselves against looters, arsonists, and other criminals. However, just when they were needed the most, the New Orleans police superintendent ordered the confiscation of firearms allegedly under a state emergency powers law. He stated, quote, "No one will be able to be armed. Guns will be taken. Only law enforcement will be able to have guns," end quote. Law enforcement and National Guard troops were sent door to door to take firearms from law-abiding hurricane survivors, protecting themselves from looters and thugs who ruled the streets. Legislative bodies can and should act to protect the self-defense rights of citizens at the times when those rights are most important. The U.S. Congress saw the need to act to protect gun owners' rights during these emergencies. Following the incident in New Orleans, broad bipartisan margins in the U.S. Congress passed the Disaster Recovery Personal Protection Act, and this was signed into law in October of 2006. The Emergency Powers Bill prohibits the state and local governments from confiscating legal firearms from law-abiding citizens during natural disasters. 30 states and the federal government have now passed such protective laws because of overwhelming bipartisan support. The committee heard testimony from the State Director of Emergency Services relating to looting that occurred in this state during recent natural disasters in 2009 and 2011. Mr. President, this legislation emphasizes rights and removes confusion so that law-abiding citizens may be able to protect themselves as necessary in states of emergency. Furthermore, subsection 3 allows for a civil action to be commenced by an individual aggrieved by a violation of this section. This places into North Dakota Code a method of recourse in North Dakota courts. Mr. President, there was no opposition testimony, and your GBA committee voted 6-1 do pass recommendation for House Bill 1467, and we would ask the full body's concurrence.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the final passage of House Bill 1467. Would the Secretary please open the key? All senators have voted. Any senator wishing to change their vote? Secretary, close the key. Final tally on House Bill 1467 reveals 44 senators voting yea, 3 senators voting nay. The bill is passed. House Bill 1401. Madam